We are deeply concerned that the National Treasury has proceeded to complete the sale of the government's 15% stake in Safaricom PLC to Vodacom, while our substantive constitutional petition remains pending before the High Court. This transaction has been closed under a cloud of unresolved constitutional questions. The High Court had, on 2 separate occasions, found sufficient basis to issue conservatory orders stopping the sale until the constitutional petition was heard and determined. That petition has already been heard, and the High Court is expected to pronounce itself within the next 2 weeks. So one would wonder why rush the conclusion of the sale when in 2 weeks the High Court will be issuing their ruling. It is therefore deeply troubling that almost immediately after the Court of Appeal lifted the conservatory orders on 26 June 2026, the government moved with such speed to dispose of the very asset that is the subject of the pending constitutional proceedings. And I need to note here that that matter of lifting the orders was initially set for the 29th, but the Registrar of the Court of Appeal, of course in collusion with others, decided to bring it to the 18th of June. We respect the courts, of course, some of us are officers of the courts, but Kenyans are entitled to ask if a matter is still pending before the High Court, and if the asset in dispute can be transferred before the hearing, what protection does constitutional litigation truly offer the ordinary citizen? Let us be clear, the Court of Appeal did not declare this transaction lawful. It did not determine whether Kenyans were properly consulted. It did not determine whether Safaricom was fairly valued. It did not determine whether the government can lawfully sell a strategic national asset merely to raise short-term revenue. The Court of Appeal only dealt with the question of conservatory orders. The government has not been allowed to outrun the court process. The due process of the law ought to have been allowed to take into account its to take its course to its proper legal conclusion. This is a matter of great public interest because public wealth belongs to the people of Kenya, not to temporary office holders like the Treasury mandarins. And I saw the comments by the Cabinet Secretary for the Treasury before JK Live. It's of a big shame, private interests, or indeed foreign corporations. This is not an ordinary sale, share sale. Safaricom is not just another company. It is the backbone of Kenya's digital economy. M-Pesa moves trillions of shillings every year. Safaricom's infrastructure supports payments, communications, businesses, public services, sensitive data, and the daily lives of millions of Kenyans. Kenyans are therefore entitled to ask a simple question: why was the government in such a hurry to sell a highly profitable and strategic national asset before the High Court could pronounce itself? The government has sold approximately 6 billion shares at the valuation, according to them, of 34 shillings per share, reducing its ownership from 35% to 20% and giving Vodacom effective majority control at about 55%. We maintain that this sale was undervalued, was opaque, was rushed, and constitutionally suspect. Expert evidence placed before the court indicated that the fair value of the shares was at the very least approximately Kenya shillings 57.90 per share, just under 58 shillings. If M-Pesa is properly valued and a standalone fintech platform, the public value potentially lost runs into hundreds of billions of shillings. That is not a minor pricing dispute. It is a matter of our national wealth, public accountability, and the safeguarding of Kenya's strategic interests. There is also the dividend question. As Safaricom's latest total dividend level of about 1.20 cents per share, the government's former 35% economic interest represented roughly 16 billion shillings in annual dividend income. With a dividend payout very imminent in just a few days, Kenyans deserve an explanation as to why the government chose to surrender 16 billion shillings so casually. Why not wait a few days for the dividend? Why not wait for the High Court ruling? Why the haste? Why give up billions in future annual public income year after year for a one-off upfront payment for dividends equivalent to only about 2 years of annual dividends? Why rush to give up a strong long-term income stream for a short-term cash receipt? This transaction raises grave questions of transparency, of accountability, of valuation, sovereignty, and respect for the rule of law. It is clear that there is more to this matter than meets the eye. For that reason, we issue a clear caveat emptor: buyer beware. This matter is not closed simply because the transaction has been rushed through. The constitutional questions remain alive. The public interest questions remain alive. The valuation questions remain alive. The accountability questions remain alive. Again, we say we respect the courts, and we will await the High Court's determination of the matter. And we also reserve every legal, constitutional, and public interest avenue available to challenge this transaction and to protect the wealth of the Kenyan people. Safaricom was built by Kenyans. It grew from the trust, the loyalty, and daily economic activity of Kenyans, and its value must not be traded away in haste, behind closed doors, and without full accountability to the public. Indeed, Kenyans have distinguished themselves internationally as the innovators of the famous M-Pesa platform. Aside from this Safaricom issue, which amounts to economic abduction, it must now be very clear in the minds of all Kenyans who love this nation that there are many things being done by this government that are against the interests of the Kenyan people. The levels of impunity, conflict of interest, and outright theft in this government have reached an acceptable level, and it is simply abhorrent. I'm calling on all Kenyans who love this country to unite. Continue to register as voters if you are not already done so, and ensure that in August next year, precisely on the 10th, because this date is written in our Constitution, we send a very clear message to economic abductor number 1 and chief, William Ruto, that a government lacking in accountability and focused on theft, corruption, and conflict of interest cannot be tolerated by the people of Kenya. God bless Kenya. Zote tukomboe Kenya. If there's any question, I think I can quickly take it. Yeah, I think that the petitioner here, Bwana Tony Gachoka, by the way, he's not the only one. There was 2 other petitioners who were so roughed up by by the appeal court judges that I think they have taken a different approach to it. Please.
Yes. I'll be very, very brief. Our message to President William Ruto, he knows this team of Kalonzo Musyoka and Tony Gachoka very well, because we met for battle at the High Court before on Jomo Kenyatta International Airport over Andani. And we obtained mandatory conservatory orders that stopped the sale of Jomo Kenyatta to Andani. Now the government is redrawing or is strategizing how to deal with JKIA because we took them to court and we did not let it go until William Ruto had to issue a statement denouncing Andani and getting Andani out of Kenya. So we are telling William Ruto today on the Safaricom matter, we await the ruling of the court, High Court, which will be delivered on 17th of August, 2026. And after that ruling is given, we are going to take that matter all the way up to the Supreme Court and to the general election of 2027, where whatever happens in that general election, any of these people in the High Court or in the Court of Appeal who go against the people of Kenya, remember there can be a radical surgery of the judiciary. Remember that the new government coming can reverse all these evils and this economic sabotage. So I want to thank His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka for being very steadfast on this matter. Asante.
Thank you. Any questions? Or maybe JB, you want to add something?
I may just wish to...
You can also take the questions because the matter is legal.
I may just wish to add my voice to what His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka said about this wholesale, and hope that in as much as we respect the judiciary, the judges of the high courts who assist of this matter will not get swayed by this rushed decision by this corrupt regime of William Ruto. But also ask the question, a matter as momentous as the sale of 6 billion shares, publicly held shares by the government, where was or is the competition authority? What are they doing? We need to hear them. We need to hear their voice on a matter as serious as this. And one, as has been said, and it has been explained, buyer, Vodacom, buyer, beware. There are other international mechanisms of settling disputes relating to investments, in transnational or international investment disputes. And therefore, this is not a matter that anybody, including William Ruto, should take lightly. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Of course, Tony, when you talked about going all the way to the Supreme Court, you're assuming the ruling will be against you. It may not. I have every confidence in the 3 judges hearing this matter, and they'll be delivering their ruling on the 17th of August. So I think we need to end there. There'll be no question. Yes, sir. Emmanuel Toh, yes, sir. I actually made that point when we argued against the lifting of the conservatory orders. We made it clear that we could end up in an exercise in futility. Of course, it is not, because we have now issued the caveat emptor. I don't know how many of you read the Nairobi Business Daily. You see KCB advisory group and another group, Stand Big, making a killing at 4 billion shillings, the highest ever since the Nairobi Stock Exchange was actually established. And you ask yourself, is this a way to go? Is really this a way to go? So, Emmanuel, no, this is a live matter. It is alive before the High Court. The courts can still rule that this was an illegal sale, in which case they will have to reverse the whole thing. Thank you. Another question? Yes, sir. Brian, poleni sana, tunaona mnavamiwa kila mahali. Mnapanga tu namna hii. Okay. Indeed.
secondary IPO.
Indeed.
However, in capital markets law, it requires that if that should be opened up, then it should be done through what is called a rights issue.
Yeah.
How exactly did you envision the secondary IPO going, considering that the shares are still actively traded in the NSE and Kenyans can buy?
So that, say that again, considering?
I'm saying, considering that the shares are still actively trading in the NSE.
Yeah.
The Safaricom counter is active. So,
Very active.
how did you envision this?
Very active. In fact, have you noticed that another 12 million, I think in addition to the 204 billion, there was another 12 million because it's an active thing. But if people were taking into account the common interest of the Kenyan people, they should have gone the way we suggested, open this matter to a secondary IPO. But that, of course, is still alive. It is still a matter that is alive, depending on the ruling by the court, by the High Court on the 17th of August. Then we take it up from there. We are not about to give up on this. No, no, no. Thank you so much. Another question? Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Ekua? Yeah, Ekua. Ekua actually means somebody who carries a lot of things. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we have seen attack on Libya.
Yeah.
Neighboring country, Uganda. And today, the SG has attacked radio stations so much.
Today?
The UGSG.
Yeah. SG.
Yeah, has attacked media houses, saying that the opposition or the united opposition, they are using media houses to attack the government. What do you have to say on this?
Well, it's a shameful statement by one who used to be the Secretary General of my own party. I completely and absolutely surrender him to UDA. All right? Because that's why he cannot be. Remember the other day he attacked a whole community and nothing, no action was taken. I think every day they have him as the SG. The whole world is watching, and Kenyans in particular. So we will stand by the freedom of the press. Media freedom cannot be subjected to the whims and aspirations of a party that is losing grip, and they know it. So they have to look, and if they want to blame the media, of course the media is above this. Please remain focused. We just want nothing but absolute truth for our people. And again, if they're attacking the media have also their citizens. By the way, they all have their voters' cards ready. They have suffered abductions, the other type of abduction. Today I refer to Ruto's economic abduction, because what has happened to this Safaricom shares sale is nothing short of abducting the economy of this country. They continue to do these abductions. Now, they abducted the media. Later on, we are talking about, I think we are meeting Siban and Kavuli and some of the younger people. We are meeting the people who were abducted on June 25th. This is why the chair of the Alternative People's Restorative Justice is here, Justice Muturi. And so we continue with these things. We must speak for this country. Because if we don't, and to be honest with you, this is rescue time. This is rescue time. How else can you get rid of people like that offensive SG of UDA? Of course, he speaks the mind of his boss. And so, Kenyans, beware.
As opposition, are you funding the media houses to blame your
How? How? You are here, Ikua. I've just asked your name to confirm. When did I last have coffee with you? I can't remember. Never. Never. So, no. And I think, as I say, the media have every right to socialize with every political formation, report accurately, and if they don't report accurately, you can challenge that. But to come up against the whole media and accuse them of working for the opposition is blatantly a lie. So we don't fund. But I think the media people fund themselves to throw them out. I think that's what is going to happen. Everybody will remove, will take out whatever they are able to do, pay each other, and build an army that is going to rescue this country, that is going to liberate this country. Ni wakati wa ukombozi. Thank you so much.